Hey, what's up everybody? Will here back with another one. I'm actually re-recording this intro. I don't know what happened to the original one. Cat's back there going crazy. I guess I just didn't hit record or something. But so in this video, which I actually filmed yesterday, I will be installing the Euro intake box on my BMW 328i E90. Let's get right into it. So this is an AFE dry filter, and I went with that over the K&N oiled filter, even though it was a $30 premium for this. And there's one reason only, really. I was just a little concerned about having an oiled filter that close to my mass airflow sensor, because the mass airflow sensor sits right behind the filter, and that oil, if it gets on the mass airflow sensor, gets sucked onto it, it's ruined. So this won't have that problem because it's dry, so it is washable. Without further ado, let's go put the box in the car. Okay, so the first step is we're going to remove that mass airflow sensor right there. So you just need like a flathead screwdriver or something to get under it and pull back at the same time. Alright, the next step is going to be to unbolt the stock airbox, and that's just two 10mm bolts. Now you should unpop this thing here, it's just one of my little plastic clips. And we're going to need a flathead screwdriver to undo the boot behind the airbox. Alright, so we've got the box out. Now we have to get this mass airflow sensor out, because no matter whether you're bought a new Euro box online, which I don't recommend just because they're grossly overpriced, they come with the Euro spec mass airflow sensor, and you don't need that because our cars are not designed to use that. So we will be reusing the US spec one. Let's go upstairs, take this thing out, and swap it into the new one. Before we get to switching the mass airflow sensor, I just want to show you real quick the difference in size in these things. So this here is the Euro spec one, and it would sit just like this in the car, with the snorkel going there and the boot going there. And here's the US spec one, and it would sit just like that also. And the size is just, it's a lot smaller. It doesn't hold as much volume of air. So anyway, let's switch this mass airflow sensor. So we have the mass airflow sensor, as you can see here, is held in by two torque screws. So we're going to figure out what size these need and just pull it on right out. Alright, so the mass airflow sensor is fragile, so we want to make sure that these metal points do not touch anything at all. So first things first is we're going to get this into the new airbox immediately. Now that you have your mass airflow sensor secure and in here, it's time to put the box in. Now I don't have the lid on because I don't have the filter in, and I figured I would just do it once it's in the car to kind of give you a better idea of how you would actually change this filter. It's just like taking out the old one. You're just going to set it in, you're going to set this into the boot in the back, you're going to clip onto the front, which is actually on the lid, the snorkel tube. They weren't kidding about drop-in filter. That literally drops in. It's nothing to it. Just slide it in and make sure that the ring lines up with the back of the airbox so that it kind of forms a seal, and it's on there. So that's it. Alright, so last step. Just put the lid on. It's held in by all those T25 torque screws I talked about in my previous video. The lid will have a little bit of wiggling to get it on. You just have to line the holes up properly though. Piece that connects to the snorkel is a little larger on the Euro spec one, but it will fit, just took a little bit of fighting. Alright, so it is in now. Let me show you what it looks like, and let's fire it up and make sure everything was done properly. Okay, so you can see it takes up a much larger space in the front, but this is how all European ones come. This here, it's kind of caught my attention how this didn't work properly with the snorkel. This was a bit smaller, so I had to kind of stretch it over. I mean, it fit. You can see it's on there, but the way this is looking, I don't know about all that. So maybe there's a European spec one that's just slightly different. I'll have to look into that. Maybe it's something I did and I haven't figured it out yet. But let's go fire it up. Just like normal, let's make sure there's no warning lights. Let it idle for a second. And this is just something you want to do whenever you work on your car, just to make sure you did it right. I'll go take it for a drive in a little bit, and I will report my findings after that. Alright guys, so I took it for a test drive. I mean, it didn't become a race car or anything, but I mean, it'd be crazy to expect it to. But it is much happier to rev, it revs faster, it's happier to hang out in the high RPMs, much more than it was before. Now, I was coming off of the US spec one, obviously, and it did have a cheap STP paper filter in it, so maybe some of that can just be chalked up to having a much higher quality, freer flowing air filter. I really don't know. It's not like a scientific test, it's just to see how much better it feels, but I mean, it's really better. It gives a much better initial shove when you take off from a standstill, and probably in the 3,000 to 4,000 RPM range, you can feel a better pull. So it's a big improvement. I should have done this sooner. Anyway, guys, if you like this video, leave it a big thumbs up and subscribe if you're new, and I will be seeing you in the next one.